question. 3Q is a one-on-one check-in system that we developed to help organizations have a consistent way of connecting managers and employees or volunteers. And we've been working on this for the past 4 or 5 years, and have been working with the Heartland Division and now the Midland Division of the Salvation Army, as well as we have some other business people who are going to start working with us in the next month or two. So thus we're trying to create a more formalized process to help people get on board or be introduced to 3Q, and want you to know about that. Basically, it's the premise of 3Q is that when you join a company, you enter into something we call organizational relationships, which we're having right now. For example, we're all being thrown together just temporarily because of our connection to, in this case, Salvation Army, the work we do, and we don't have history. We have varying degrees of history. So the question is, how do you get people up to speed in that situation that's happening all the time? So what was missing is this thing we call relationship maintenance, which is a way of just being consistent and checking in with people. And it's not, as you'll discover or already know, this is not competing with therapy for sure, or review, or even operational meetings. It's something different in that it's those people that have power sharing it with those who have less of it, and giving them permission to ask questions. So the other question that comes up is, who should I be leading a 3Q with? We'll be using the phrase 3Qing as a verb, because it's kind of like Google, because as we've gotten accustomed to it. So one of the questions is, who are you going to be doing a 3Q with? Who are you 3Qing? And the issue is basically someone that reports to you, or another way to think about it is if someone gave you 2 weeks notice, who would make you sad when they did that? In other words, a person you don't want to lose. Maybe a higher form of this would be to think about people we actually want to develop, which is what I consider to be the work of leaders, is we are on the lookout for ways we can develop those people that we're responsible. How long have you been using 3Q now?
So about 3 years, and then a couple different avenues. So I switched from being regional coordinator. So I was doing about 14 different core throughout the Heartland Division. And one of the most common things that I heard, like initially, anybody that starts it, my supervisor previously, and then me thinking about like, oh, well, he's telling me I have to pick 1 or 2 people. And I was like, how am I supposed to pick 1 or 2 people when I have the same level of leadership with all these 14 places? So I just told Dr. Jim, I'm just going to do all 14 of them, because it's already part of something that I check in with them. It just makes it more formal. And it did change things for me with some people. Like my other regional coordinator would do it at the end, but I was always worried because I was always rushed to leave every single time. So I didn't want them to feel like their part was rushed. So I always put them at the beginning, and then you always make time for what's important. So I put it at the beginning, and they tend to they would hear the spiel, they would hear everything that was involved, but they liked it so much. And I was just at a meeting today, and I saw my old direct report, and she was like, I miss doing that. I miss someone checking in with me. Now nobody does. So
yeah, it's really interesting. And you yourself had someone doing a 3Q check-in with you, right, for several years.
Yep.
And what was it like to be on the receiving end?
On the receiving end, it was really nice because I traveled a lot. So often we would go weeks without actually seeing each other face to face, but I always knew that I would be on his calendar. And if something happened and it came up and he had to cancel it, I was letting him know, hey, don't forget, you had to reschedule me. I'm important. I need to be on your schedule. So we always made sure made it work. And now my supervisor and I, it was so important the first time. I'm strongly encouraging my current supervisor to do that with me as well, because I think I really miss it now that I don't have it.
So you're actually asking the person that is organizationally your superior to do a 3Q check-in with you. You're reminding him, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So this thing works backwards. So once people start to experience the benefits of this as a participant, then they want to know, they become to expect it. And what happens then is that a person like Jay, of course, feels connected to the organization on a deeper level because somebody's attending to him. And it's really we're talking about a half an hour once a month. Right, Jay?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
half
it.
an hour once a month. So people start blowing this up in their mind like it's this huge commitment. And again, let's do a little run through. So I'm going to model. I'm going to share my screen and do a model with a 3Q check-in with Jay. And here we go. That's this. That's this. That's the wrong document. And it's going to be here. That's that. That's that. Excuse me. That's that. Let's say I want check-in explainer. This is it. That's what I want. Okay. So basically, when you sit with a person, you have a script. And I just want to reiterate this, and we're going to do questions in just a minute. So if Jay and I were doing a check-in and I was the supervisor, I'd sit down and I'd say, Jay, let's get started. And I'd read this, just what you have on the screen. This is in front of me. Well, we're trying to take the guesswork out of this, so you don't have to be a licensed, okay? You don't have to be intuitive. You don't have to be, feel over your head. So you read this. The purpose of this check-in is for me to hear you and understand you. I'll ask you several questions and take notes so I can remember. This check-in will take 30 minutes or less. I'm not a counselor. You're not in therapy. This is not a review. We're doing organizational relationship work. Let's get started. So Jay, tell me, how are you? Specifically, how are you doing at work?
At work right now, of course, we're all busy, but I was caught off guard by something today that kind of threw off a lot of my normal stuff, but still made the call today, and I still feel blessed to be in my position, I guess you would say.
Okay, this is a true story you're saying right now.
Yep.
Exactly. We're not going to go into detail, but so in a real 3Q, I might say one more time. Remember, this isn't therapy. This isn't an operational meeting. I'm not with Jay and I don't want to have I want to give out. The main thing is I want Jay to feel heard. So I might say, did you want to tell me anything more about that? And he could say yes or no, or he could say, let's pick it up in our operational meeting. Okay. So this is that would be the limit though. The purpose, or I might say to Jay something like this. I might say, because we have what we call backup questions. Hey Jay, something I've been curious about for a while is if you weren't working here and doing this kind of work, what's another direction you might have gone in life?
Well, interestingly enough, I thought about being a garbage man at one point because I thought that seemed like I could get off early and I could do more of what I wanted. But the other avenue I would probably be a marriage and family therapist because that's what I went to school for.
Got it. And at that point, I'd tell Jay that one of my goals in life was to be a garbage man as well, which it was. They make great money, and you can 8 hours, and you're off in 5 or something. Anyway, things turned out different for both of us. So Jay, how are we? How are we doing, you and me?
I think we're doing good. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. It's been a little while since I've had my last 3Q. So
here's another way of asking the question. I want to ask about how are we organizationally. So Jay, if you ran this organization, what would you change right away?
This is gonna sound fake, but
you don't have to tell the story. You have to tell the truth right now.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I think every person in Salvation Army that has a supervisory position should be mandated to do 3Q.
Okay, thank you. That was good.
You didn't even pay me to say that.
Now keep in mind, everybody, I'm taking handwritten notes while he's talking. I'm not working on my computer. I'm taking handwritten notes, and I'm moving along like about this pace because I don't want to turn this into a counseling session, and I don't want to turn it into a review, and I don't want to solve problems. Okay, you all got me there? So that's the pacing. I'm moving along fairly quickly. It turns out that most 3Qs are done somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. The actual sit down with the person. Then finally, I'd say, Jake, how is there a way that I can help? How can I help?
I think that you can help me by continuing to make me a part of your schedule and keeping me in mind for any leadership opportunities that comes up in the future.
Okay. And is there anything you're currently doing that you feel is a complete waste of time?
No, I don't think there's anything that's a waste of time. I do a lot of dishes as the camp director, but I think those are very needed to be done.
Exactly. You got the glamour job. Okay. So Jay, what I do now is I basically type in the date, and the next part is Elena is going to walk you through the system, how you upload the notes. I put in the date, my name, Jay's name, his age. The age part is only relevant because I like to know people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, so I have some idea of what kind of person I'm dealing with, where they are in life, and what is informing the decisions. Here's the most important action. You see where it says final action. I set next month's check-in date and time before we stop. So I say to Jay, so Jay, let's get our calendars. Can we meet like a month from now, same time? You know, Jay, it might be easier if we just schedule before our next operation meeting. Can we do that?
Yep.
Right? And we get that on the calendar. The reason I have to do that is because Jay's not in a position to require me to do it. Okay, I'm supervising Jay, and so I have to take the initiative and schedule it. If you don't do it here, it won't get done, right? And you'll go for 2 months or 3 months, and everybody will keep falling off. Okay,